Alright, now that the 2017 MLB Postseason picture is all set, I get to answer the big question of the month. Who's gonna win the World Series? Here's a hint. It could be the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are the defending world champs, but as has been proven since 2000, defending your title is quite the daunting task. Besides, they got their work cut out for them early because they'll be thrust into the NLDS where they'll have to face the Washington Nationals. I should point out the lack of parity in the NL East. The Nats were the first to win their division this year because the next team up was down by more than 20 games. Regardless, a 90-win season doesn't hurt, and with 0 previous trips to the Fall Classic, they certainly have something to prove. Moving right along, we have the Colorado Rockies making their first postseason appearance since 2009. They finished 3rd in the NL West for the 3rd year in a row, but this time it's good enough for the second wildcard spot. But how is that possible? Because the Arizona Diamondbacks. With Zack Greinke dominating on the mound unlike last year, making a postseason this year was inevitable. It'll be a very brief rematch of the 2007 NLCS, but they've still got plenty of work to do as the winner gets the glorious honor of playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. These guys have been through it all, from a 69-18 stretch to a 10-game losing streak to losing their absolute ace to the DL, but in the end they persevered down the stretch and finished with the best record in the majors, guaranteeing them home field through the World Series should they make it. Well done, Dodgers. I'm proud of you. Now, I know a lot of you are telling me, hey, equals Peach. Whoever wins the National League pennant, who's going to be their opponent in the World Series? Well, here's another hint. It could be the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have won back-to-back AL East titles for the first time in their long history. Wow, that was overdue. They may no longer have David Ortiz, but they managed to pull through with what they had, which includes David Price. They get to go up against the Houston Astros, fresh off their first AL West crown since their surprising move to the junior circuit in 2013. While all those toiling years of rebuilding have finally paid off, they too had the benefit of a lack of competition to catch them. So basically they ran away with the division early and never looked back. Over on the other side of the American League, hey, look who crashed the postseason party. It's the Minnesota Twins. They went from 103 losses last year to clinching the second wildcard spot this year. I'm not sure if such a turnaround was just lucky or downright supposed to happen all along. They are a young squad after all. In any case, for getting this far, they've earned themselves a one-way ticket to a one-game playoff against, what do you know, the New York Yankees. I don't know if they're still employing the tactic of overpaying their players in this day and age. The point is that all those players you followed in the last decade are basically all gone, and in their place, just like the Twins, are a bevy of rising stars. Let the rivalry refresh itself. Because awaiting one of these clubs are, of course, the Cleveland Indians. Famous for 2 things now. One is not winning the World Series in 69 years, and the other is winning 22 games in a row. Good enough for the American League record because the tie doesn't count, I guess. So there's your postseason field for 2017, and now comes the best part, my predictions. Ready? Go! So the postseason starts on October 3rd with the Twins and Yankees playing in the house that Jeter built. Ervin Santana gets the nod for the Twins against Luis Severino for the Yankees. Right away, my verdict is that experience wins this game. And right away, you'll notice that neither team has very much postseason appearance, although the Yankees were last in the wildcard game in 2015 before they went out without scoring a single run. Both teams are pretty hot since the All-Star break, with the Yanks going 45-29 and the Twins scoring a whopping 405 runs while allowing just 321 in that stretch. Sure as God made green apples, the experience lies within the pitching. Ervin Santana has been by far the Twins' most consistent starter this year, and he has plenty of playoff experience. My view says he gets just enough run support and shuts down the Yanks on the road. The next night features the Rockies and Diamondbacks at Chase Field, and this is probably the easiest prediction I will ever make in my life. Zack Greinke is untouchable. Untouchable. It doesn't matter who starts for the Rocks. JD Martinez will homer 3 times, Paul Goldschmidt will homer 3 times, AJ Pollock will swipe 5 bases. Okay, maybe not. But the Diamondbacks? They have the clear advantage here, and they'll be moving on to LA. But I'll get to that later. For right now, though, the Twins meet the Indians in the presumably more lopsided ALDS. This would be the first time either squad has played a division rival in the postseason, not counting any tiebreakers to determine the division champion. This series gets very weird very quickly, for you see, the Indians have perhaps the best pitching staff in baseball, including Corey Kluber, Trevor Bauer, Andrew Miller, and Cody Allen. Meanwhile, the Twins have a Gold Glove outfielder in Byron Buxton and Miguel Sano, the home run derby runner-up, hungry for a comeback off the DL. Jorge Polanco managed to find his groove while replacing the injured Sano in the last month and a half. As the series begins, assuming Game 7 against the Cubs was a fluke, of course Corey Kluber is going to start Game 1 and shut the Twins down. Then the Twins' bats wake up in Game 2 as they toss Carlos Carrasco around because they can suddenly do that. Ervin Santana returns to start Game 3 and rides even more run support off Trevor Bauer. Down 2-1, the Indians push the panic button and tap into Corey Kluber, who goes out there and does Corey Kluber things. Y'all already know the series is going the distance. So who reigns supreme in this winner-take-all situation? The Twins. They pull away in the 9th inning, allowing them to withstand a 9th inning rally from the Indians because baseball is weird. Anyway, on to the Red Sox and Astros. This is their first time meeting in the postseason because the Astros. But what makes this another unusual series is that these clubs finished the regular season playing each other in a 4-game series at Fenway Park. Last Saturday, the Red Sox proved that they could beat the Astros with both teams playing for bigger and better things. They don't have the luxury of starting at home this time around, and that's going to mean a lot in Game 1 when Justin Verlander outduels Chris Sale because they happen to have Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve and George Springer and Carlos Beltran on his side. How did the Sox respond in Games 2 and 3? Exactly. Easy series win for the Stros. Looking into the senior circuit now, the D-backs face the Dodgers with the mindset that they are the Twins. The main problem lies within their starting pitching. They'll get a nice look at the hot-off-the-DL legend that is Clayton Kershaw as he does Clayton Kershaw things. And by that I mean give up 3 more home runs to JD Martinez and Paul Goldschmidt. Okay, you know what? The Dodgers are still the Dodgers, and you can bet their bats wake up in Games 2 and 3 while Yu Darvish and Rich Hill show exactly why they made the postseason roster. As far as Game 4 goes, the Dodgers do the smart thing and trust in Alex Wood to finish the job in Phoenix because, God forbid, they can't tap Clayton Kershaw right away for the next round. But they'll have to wait a while as the Cubs and Nats take care of business. The Cubs are still one of baseball's deepest clubs, and they came through late in the season, or did the Brewers choke yet again, to successfully defend their division crown. But the Nats are full of standouts like Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, Empty My Fun Box Max Scherzer, and disgruntled survivalist werewolf Jason Worth. The Nats come through behind Mad Max in Game 1 and again behind Strasburg in Game 2, but then Javi Baez's defensive prowess and the unmatched power combo of Anthony Rizzo and Kyle Schwarber come into full display to force Game 5, presumably between Lester and Scherzer. This is where you cue Dusty Baker. Yeah, you almost forgot about that guy, didn't you? Mad Max inevitably gets into a groove and then he'll either be relieved way too early or be overworked to the point of loading the bases in the 8th inning. Pick your poison. The Cubs rally and win the game and a series and come from behind fashion. Again. Unless Dusty gets ejected at any point before the 8th inning, you've got yourself yet another chapter in the book of Dusty Baker doing Dusty Baker things. Nice going. Twins and Astros in the ALCS. I'm probably the only one here who saw that coming. Like with the Stros in the ALDS, this is going to be another showcase exemplified by what each team does have. Obviously, the series starts in Houston, where any thought of the Twins winning another game with Irvin Santana gets dashed by who but Justin Verlander. Kyle Gibson is a streaky son of a gun, but somewhere between Games 1 and 4, he gets lucky once again and rides an uncharacteristic abundance of run support to steal a game. Given that Verlander awaits in Game 5, already knowing that his team will have won at least 2 games by then, the Twins tap into Santana and get a second win in Minneapolis, but in doing so, they have doomed themselves into becoming unable to respond to Verlander and Dallas Keuchel from there on out. I just think Justin Verlander is too good right now. I would love to be proven wrong, but I just don't see how it could be any other team. The Houston Astros are 100% the team to beat in the American League. Following that display of events, the Cubs and Dodgers square off for the National League pennant in a rematch for the ages, starting with Clayton Kershaw being Clayton Kershaw. Cubs win Game 1, but the Dodgers rebound in Game 2, showing us all why they are the best team in the majors. As the series shifts to Wrigley Field, the Cubs bats heat up big time and they get surprising contributions from Javi Baez and John Lackey. But just when it looks like the Cubs will clinch at home again, Clayton Kershaw forgets that he's Clayton Kershaw and shuts them down like a good pitcher, if only briefly. Kyle Hendricks returns the favor in Game 6 to send the Cubs back to the Fall Classic, settling for clinching at Dodger Stadium. Now then, I've whittled it down to the Houston Astros and the Chicago Cubs playing for the Commissioner's Trophy. I don't know who the Cubbies expect to start in Game 1 in Houston, but it sure as hell isn't Justin Verlander. When he gets into a groove, there is no looking back. The Astros lineup quickly shows off their offensive prowess in a blowout Game 1 victory. But the Cubs respond by beating up on Dallas Keuchel in Game 2 as they showcase exactly what they did to beat the Dodgers. In Chicago, the Cubbies tap into the Wrigley faithful early and use them to narrowly escape an offensive struggle because John Lester still can't throw to first base. Then the Astros capitalize on John Lackey convincing Joe Maddon that this is my guy, reminding the Cubbies not to mess with Texas, and reminding John Lackey to shut the f*** up. In a shocking plot twist, Justin Verlander gets knocked out early in Game 5 after giving up 3 home runs in the first 3 innings to Chris Bryant, Addison Russell, and Chris Bryant. With Verlander gone, the Cubbies go back to Houston with not 1, but 2 chances to complete the repeat. You hear that, Dallas Keuchel? You're being sent to the mound in Game 6 to keep the Astros title hopes alive. Don't blow it. And what do you know, he gets the job done. Way to not pull a Pedro Martinez. Anyway, now that we know the World Series is going the distance for the 2nd year in a row, I'd like to announce that I've officially given up on trying to predict Game 7s. This would be the point where I also predict the combined score of the final game of the Fall Classic, but I am just completely stumped. In a Game 7, anything goes. That said, I shall now turn to MLB The Show 17 for a definitive answer to this insoluble dilemma.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. And the Lone Star State will shine a bit brighter tonight because the Astros are World Series champions.
And the Houston Astros are your 2017 World Series champions. In another fall classic for the ages, the Astros take the deciding Game 7 to finally win the long-contested battle for Texas. How does it feel to be Carlos Gomez? Meanwhile, Carlos Beltran takes World Series MVP honors, batting very well above 500 and homering in every game. LOL. But don't think the Cubs blew it at the last second. They've got a well-rounded dynasty that'll last them at least the next 5 years, as do 20 other teams I can think of. Here's expecting a lot more parity in next year's postseason push, but who knows? We'll just have to wait until next year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Oh, and Joe Buck is awesome.